Hey everyone, it's Kristen. Today we're actually going to be talking about this. God loves, man kills. In the last video, I gave you background on it. And in this video, we're going to start talking about it. It's a pretty intense story. It is definitely, I can understand why they didn't mirror the movie, um, from the story exactly, because it is intense. You're like, holy cow. There are quite a few parts in the book that you're like, wow, that's messed up. We open on two little kids. They're 9 and 11, we learn, and they're on the run from people who are trying to kill them, just because they're mutants. And in this, you can see that they were strung up on the school playground, with the word mutie written on the swing. They used the swings to string them up, like actually string them up as a basically lesson, a reminder to others, a warning, if you will, to others. And Magneto actually is the one that found them, and he's like, I can't believe this. They're just kids, and basically he gets really upset and he goes, never, never again. Like, I am going to, I'm going to do something about this. Because, Magneto, he's a very passionate person about, especially when it comes to, his kind, mutant race. He went through, you know, I mean, he has such an interesting background, like going through the concentration camps in Nazi Germany. And so this story probably resonates with him the most because he was singled out, because he was different, and his family was singled out because they were different by someone else who was telling everyone else, hey, these people are bad. These people are less than human. These people aren't even human. We should just kill them all. So he probably, even though they don't touch on it as much as I think they should have, he probably understands this the most, like how detrimental this kind of thinking is. And then, of course, like on the other page, we meet Stryker, and he has a picture of the Bible there, and he's quoting the Old Testament, like I talked about in the first video. He only quotes the Old Testament because Jesus in the New Testament is different. Like he talks about in this quote, if anyone has done evil, in the sight of the Lord, you should take him outside the city and stone them to death. Well, Jesus famously says, because there's a law where if a woman commits adultery, you're supposed to, stone her to death. The village men can stone her to death. And so the Pharisees bring Jesus a woman, and they say, this woman has been caught committing adultery. What should we do with her? They expected, they were wanting him to say, well, stone her. And he said, whoever's without sin, go ahead and cast the first stone, like kind of like I dare you. And no one could, because no one was without sin. And that's Jesus's whole point, is that it's not about the law anymore. It's about grace under him, because he came to free us from our sin. Yes, we still sin. Yes, we still mess up. I definitely do. But anyway, like okay, sorry, I digress. I talked about that in the first video, so we don't need to talk about it like a whole lot here. But that's my point, is that, it's just, he quotes from the Old Testament. He doesn't quote from the New Testament ever, Stryker. So it's funny because, it's basically like those people that take like one part of the Bible, like maybe from the Old Testament, and just pull that out and quote it, and don't even go into the New Testament to show like, hey, well, no, it's not that way anymore. This is what happened under Christ. But anyway, okay, sorry. like I said, I get like passionate about that because like that was definitely my faith, and it's something I'm passionate about. So, and then Kitty, who takes dance lessons from this woman called named Stevie Hunter, She gets into a fight with the boy because he's like, mutants are evil, they all need to die. And she gets really upset and starts a fight. And, you know, Stevie's like, hey, calm down, what's going on? And, you know, her brother pulls her back and he's like, you know, she's like, you don't understand, you know, that's what he said. You know, and Stevie's like, well, that's still no reason to get into a fight, you know. It's still no reason to, you know, get into a physical altercation. And then Kitty says, suppose he'd called me I'm not even going to say the word, an in-lover, Stevie, because Stevie is African American. Kitty says, would you be so damn tolerant then? Ooh, like, I think this is before the, like, Comics Code of Authority got, like, super strict, like, crackdown, because I don't think that would, like, they actually, like, wrote that in here, like, I don't know if you can see it. Yep, you can see it. I don't think that would fly today. I don't think they'd be allowed to say that. Because, wow. Because, I mean, wow, yeah, I heard that again recently. It was like, holy cow, I forgot about that. That's crazy. And of course, you see Stevie on the next page crying. And then there's a debate on TV between William Stryker and who's, like I said, an evangelist, and he has been for 25 years now, and his crusade is, you know, he wants to keep the world safe from mutants. He doesn't technically say death to all mutants yet. That actually comes later. But he's just like, because like he says in his broadcast, like, I'm going to quote, Stryker says, I'm going to quote Senator Robert Kelly on his Committee on Mutant Activities. The ever-increasing numbers of mutants pose a clear and present danger both to the United States and to the socio-political order of the world as we know it. Just that, hey, just saying mutants are a threat. You know, we should be aware. We should monitor that. And Kitty, of course, is really upset, having just been through her, like, where her little classmate is like, you know, mutants are evil, death to all mutants, sort of thing. So she's like, hey, let's go blow off some steam in the danger room. And everyone's like, okay, sounds good. So they blow off some steam. And Stryker actually, like, talks to his, you know, right-hand woman, Anne, and he's like, so is it ready? Because apparently they're gonna ambush them and cause a car crash, killing, supposedly, Professor Xavier, Storm, and Cyclops. You know, and then, like, they get the call that they're dead, and the X-Men are really upset. You know, Kitty goes off because she wants to be by herself, and Ileana, Colossus' sister, comes after her, and she's like, if I wanted to, you know, be around people, I would have stayed in the mansion. But anyway, Wolverine goes and, you know, examines the crash site, and he's like, they're not dead. They don't smell right. Because the bodies were burned beyond recognition, which you'll see why that's important a little later in the story. But just remember that they're burned beyond recognition. But Wolverine, you know, has this keen sense of smell. Like, he can smell things. Like, everyone has a specific scent. And that's how, like, shapeshifters can never fool him, because he knows, hey, that's not them. So he's like, they're not dead. It's not them. I don't know what's going on, but it's not them. So they have this, they, like, park their car nearby, and they kind of wait to see, like, who comes, like, what happens. And they get attacked by what they call themselves purifiers, you know, to rid the earth of mutants and to bring it back to just, you know, the human race. And, you know, who comes to save them but Magneto? Because, you know, he's really upset about what has happened. You know, remember with the little kids that we came in on the first of the book. He found them. He saved them from being, like, you know, just left there for dead, basically. But that makes him really angry. And so they take him back to the mansion. They try to get them to talk. And even Wolverine tries to get them to talk, doing his, you know, his claw thing where he's like 1, 2, and he's like, don't make me count to 3. because then that'll go like right through your head. And they're like, I'm not scared. And what well, Magneto says is, you know, let me give it a try. And so basically Magneto tortures them and they tell him everything. Like they say they serve the Stryker Crusade, whose goal is the complete and utter annihilation of the mutant kind. And with the means to achieve it is Charles Xavier. And like I said, we talked about that. Like they brought that from this book for the movie, like that they're going to use Xavier to contact all the mutants, like connect with their minds, and then basically wipe them all out. And then Colossus says after they witness Magneto's like torture, was that necessary? And Wolverine says, yep. And Nightcrawler says, but if we use our foes' methods, my friend, how are we better than they are? Which I thought was pretty profound. Like, wow, that's true. So we come back to like the Stryker compound where they have Xavier, and he is being like, they have given him drugs, and he believes he's under attack by his students who have become evil. Like you can see right there, Kitty, who actually is going by Ariel in this book. I mean, she went through a lot of costume changes and name changes because, I don't know, the writers thought it would make her like more interesting. I don't know, but she did. And you know, they look evil, and he's like, well, if I made them in my own image and they're evil, does that mean I'm evil? Like he's just going through this kind of crisis, and like he doesn't know, you know, he doesn't know what to do. Like they're attacking him, they're hurting him. Like he doesn't know what's going on. Like he's very confused. And so he kind of lashes out, and then Stryker appears and like dissipates and gets rid of all the evil mutants, and kind of holds out his hand to Xavier in like friendship, and like you know, basically I am the way to get rid of this. I'm the way to like cure this, so to speak. You know, so he holds out his hand in friendship, just to be like, hey, I saved you. And, you know, Xavier reaches out, but at the last moment he hesitates, brings him back. And then in the lab, the scientist says, oh, you know, we almost had him. You know, he's more like formidable than I thought. And Stryker's like, it's, you know, it's okay. We knew this wouldn't be easy. You know, it's going well. I mean, and apparently Cyclops and Storm are in like pods where they're still connected to Xavier, and so they're being tortured, but in their pain, Xavier can feel that, and in his confused state, he thinks that they're causing him pain, like directly, and that's kind of why he's lashing out at his students. You know, of course, also seeing them evil doesn't help either. So, I mean, like, okay. So, I'm going to save the next part for the next video because we're already, like, you know, pretty far into this video. I will just say the next part is the most disturbing, like, period of this whole book. I mean, I read that again and thought, whoa, I did not see that coming. Like, I totally forgot about that. It is it's crazy. And I could totally understand why, again, they didn't take him directly from the book and put him into the movie the way his character is, because it is very disturbing. Like, it's on another level. But anyway, we'll talk about that in the next video. So I hope you will join me for the second part of talking about God Loves, Man Kills. Until next time, bye.